Hello students. So in the previous video we have seen about inverse filtering and minimum mean square error filtering. So in today's lecture we will see about constraint least square filtering, geometric mean filter and image reconstruction from projection. So now constraint least square filtering. So the problem of having to know something about the degradation function h is common to the all methods. So the Wiener filter presents an additional difficulty, which is the power spectra of the ungraded images and noise must be known. So here a constant estimate of a ratio of the power spectra is not always a suitable solution. Means constraint least square filtering just requires the mean and variance of the noise. So the frequency domain solution of this problem is given by this expression: f exponential f of uv is equal to h into uv upon h of uv raised to square plus gamma p of uv raised to square into g of uv. So here gamma is a parameter that must be adjacent so that the constraint here is satisfied, and p of uv is the Fourier transform of the function. So here p of xy is equal to, here this is a matrix, right? 0 minus 1 0 minus 1 4 minus 1 and 0 minus 1 0. So here gamma is a parameter. So we recognize in this function as a Laplacian operator, right? So here it is important to know that the p of xy as well as all other relevant special domain functions must be properly padded with zeros prior to computing their Fourier transforms. So here in this equation reduces to inverse filtering if gamma is 0. So this figure shows the results of, here it is a constraint least square filters in which the values of gamma were selected manually to yield the best visual results. So this is the same procedure we used to generate the Wiener filtered results. So by comparing the constraint least squares and Wiener results, it is noted that the former yielded slightly better results for the high and medium noise cases, with both filters generating essentially equal results for the low noise case. So it is not unexpected that the constraint least square filter would outperform the Wiener filter when selecting the parameters manually for better visual results. So the parameter here is a scalar, while the value of k is the approximation of the ratio of two unknown frequency domain functions. So this ratio seldom is constant. So it is tends to a reason that this result is based on manually selecting gamma would be more accurate estimate of the undegraded image. So here we can see one equation. So here it is the geometric mean filter. So it is possible to generalize slightly the Wiener filter. So the generalization in this form, it is known as the geometric mean filter, which is exponential f of uv is equal to h into u of v upon h uv square raised to a into h of uv square upon h of uv square plus beta into s and u of v upon sf of uv raised to 1 minus a into g of uv. So with here alpha and beta being positive, which are the real constant. The geometric mean filter consists of two expressions in bracket raised to the power of a and 1 minus a respectively. So here when uh, alpha is equal to 1, so this filter reduces to the inverse filter, and with alpha is equal to 0, so the filter becomes the so called parametric Wiener filter, so which reduces to the standard Wiener filter when beta is equal to 1. If the alpha is equal to 1 by 2, the filter becomes the product of two quantities raised to the sum power, which is the same power. So which is the definition of the geometric mean. So with beta is equal to 1, as alpha decreases below 1 upon 2, the filter performance will tend more toward the inverse filter. So now image reconstruction from the projections. So in the previous sections we have seen with the techniques of for restoring a degraded version of an image, like inverse filtering and all. So here we examine the problem of reconstructing of an image from the series of projections. So with a focus here on X-ray computed tomography, which is known as CT. So here computed tomography is a medical imaging method employing tomography where digital geometry processing is used to generate three-dimensional image of the internals of object from a large series of two-dimensional X-ray images taken around a single axis of rotation. So what is Bragg projections? So in computed tomography or other imaging techniques requiring reconstruction from multiple projections, an algorithm for calculating the contribution of each voxel of the structure to be measured ray data to generate an image. So the oldest and simplest method of image reconstruction. So here introduction. So the reconstruction problem is simple in the principle and can be explained in the quantitatively in the straightforward in. So here figure A, which is consist of a single object on a uniform background. So to bring physical meaning to the following here this explanation. So suppose that this image is a cross section of 3D region of a human body. So assume also that the background in the image represents soft uniform tissue while the round object is a tumor, right? So it is also a uniform but with higher absorption characteristics. So in next we pass a thin flat beam of X-ray from left to right, means through the plane of the image. So here this figure shows and assume that the energy of the beam is observed more by the object than by the background. So using a strip of X-ray absorption detectors on the other side of the region which yield a signal, means absorption profile, it is shown here. So here intensity is proportional to the absorption. So we may view any point in the signal at the sum of the absorption values across the single ray in the beam. So the signal as the sum of the absorption value across the signal ray. So the beam is corresponding specially to this point. So it is referred to as a ray sum. So here it is a we known as it is a soft uniform tissue and with higher absorption tumor, and here it is shown the intensity which is proportional to the absorption. So here figure if we rotate the position of the SWOT detector pair by 90 degree, so it is not display like this. So repeating the procedure, here Bragg positional image in the vertical direction, we can see this figure in the vertical direction. Here we can see like this. So if we continue to reconstruct adding this result to the previous break projections, so resulting we will get the result like this. So now we can tell the object of interest is contained in the square shown, whose amplitude is twice the amplitude of the individual break projection. So little through will reveal that we should be able to learn more about the shape of the object in question by taking more views, right? Like this figure. So as the number of we can see here in this figure, so the number of projections increases, the strength of intersecting break projections decreases relative to the strength of the region in which multiple break projections are intersect. So the net effect is that the brighter regions will dominate the result, and back projections with few or no intersection will fade into the background as image scaled here. So here this image is known as it is formed from the 32 projections, which is illustrated here. So while this reconstructed image is a reasonably good approximation to the shape of the original object, so this image is blurred by a halo effect, right? So the formation of which can be seen here in these images. So for example, here it is appears as a star whose intensity is lower than that the object but higher than the background. So blurring in CT reconstruction is an important issue here. So this figure illustrates the reconstruction using break projections, like back projections on a slightly more complicated region that contains two objects with different absorption properties. So this figure here, it shows the result of using one back projection. So we note here that three principal features in this figure: from bottom to top, a thin horizontal gray band corresponding to the unconcluded portion of the small object, which is a brighter, means more absorption band above it corresponding to the by both objects, and an upper band corresponding to the rest of the optical here objects. So now figure C and figure D show the reconstruction using two projections at 90° apart and four projections as 40° apart respectively. So the explanation of these figures is similar here. So figure E and figure F are more accurate reconstruction using 32 and 64 back projections respectively. So these two results are quite close visually and they both show the blurring problem here. So here we can see one figure. So first generation CT scanner employ a pencil X-ray beam and a signal detector as figure A is shows. So for a given angle of rotation, the source detector pair translated incrementally along the linear direction as shown. So projection is generated by measuring here. So it is the output of the detector at each increment of the translator. So after a complete linear translation, the source or detector assembly is rotated and procedure is repeated to generate the another projection as different angle. So the procedure is repeated for all desired angles in the range 0 degree to 180 degree to generate a complete set of projections from which one image is generated by the back projection. So here, as explained in the previous sections, we can see here the cross mark on the head of the subject indicates the motion in the direction which is perpendicular to the plane of the source detector pair. So a set of cross-sectional images is generated by incrementally moving the subject. This is the subject and it is moving, right? So it is generated by the incrementally moving the subject, means after each complete scan, which is the past the source or detector plane. So the stacking these images computationally produces a 3D volume of the section of the body. So G1 scanners are no longer manufactured for medical imaging, but because they are produce a parallel ray beam, their geometry is one used periodically for introducing the fundamentals of CT imaging. So second generation G2, which is known as a CT scanner, right here. So this operate on the same principle of G1 scanner, but the beam is used in the shape of fan. So here this allows to use the multiple detectors, thus requiring fewer translation of source or detector pair. So the third generation scanner are significant improvement over the earliest two generations, which are G1 and G2 of CT geometries. So here we can see these third generation scanners. So as figure C, it is shows that G3 scanners employ a bank of detectors long enough to cover the entire field of view of a wider beam. So here fourth generation scanner G4, which are go to a step further by employing a circular ring of detectors. Only the source has it, right? So the key advantage of G3 and G4 scanners is a speed. So key disadvantage are the cost and generator X-ray scatter, which requires higher dust than G1 and G2 scanners to achieve comparable signal to noise characteristics. So here newer scanning modalities are beginning to be adopted. For example, fifth generation G5 CT scanners are also known as electron beam computed tomography EBCT scanners, which eliminate all the mechanical motion by employing electron beams controlled electromagnetically. So by striking tungsten anodes, then here these beams are generate X-rays that are then shaped into the fan beam that passes through the patient and exits a ring of detectors as in G4 scanners. So the conventional manner in this CT images are obtained is to keep the patient stationary during the scanning time required to generate one image. So the scanning is then halted while the position of the patient is incremented in the direction of perpendicular to the imaging plane using a motorized table. So although an image may obtain in less than 1 second, there are procedures that require the patient to hold his breath during the image acquisition. So completing this procedure for say 30 images may require several minutes. So and this approach whose use is increasing in helical CT. So it is sometimes referred to as a sixth generation G6 CT. So in this approach, a G3 and G4 scanner is configured using so-called slip rings that eliminate the need for electrical and signal cabling between the source and detectors and the processing unit. So the source or detector pair between the source or Detector pair then rotate the continuously through 360 degree while the patient is moved at the constant speed along the axis perpendicular to the scan. So this result is a continuous helical volume of data that is then processed to be obtained individual slice images. Now 7th generation G7 scanners, it is also known as a multi-slice CT scanners, are emerging in which thick fan beams are used in conjunction with parallel banks of detectors to collect volumetric CT data simultaneously. So that is 3D cross-sectional slabs rather than the single cross-sectional images are generated per X-ray burst. So here to a significant increase in detail, this approach has the advantage that it utilizes X-ray tubes more economically, thus reducing cost and potentially reducing dosage. Now projections and the radon transform. So we develop here the mathematical need for image reconstruction in the context of X-ray computed tomography, but the same basic principles are applicable in another CT imaging modalities such as SPECT, SPECT, single photon emission tomography. So here PET and MRI and some modalities of ultrasound imaging. So straight line here in Cartesian coordinates can be considered described by either its slope intercept from y is equal to ax plus b. So here x cos theta plus y sin theta is equal to p. So it is a normal representation of a straight line. So the projection of a parallel ray beam may be modeled by a set of such lines as here in this figure. So an arbitrary point in the projection signal is given by the ray sum along the line x cos theta k plus y sin theta k is equal to p of j, which is working with the continuous quantities for the moment. So here the ray sum is a line integral which is given by g of p j theta k is equal to integration minus theta to theta f of xy into del x cos theta k plus y sin theta k minus pj dx dy. So here we used the properties of impulse delta here. So here this equation which is gives the projection of line integral of f of xy along an arbitrary line in the xy plane is the radon transform mentioned, we have mentioned in the previous video. So here in the discrete case it will become, this equation become g of p theta is equal to x is equal to 0 to m minus 1, y is equal to 0 to n minus 1 of f of xy theta x cos theta plus y sin theta minus p. So here x, y, p and theta are now discrete variables. So if we fix theta and allow p to vary here, so it is the simply sum the pixel of f of xy along the line defined by the specified values of these parameters. So here is the example using the radon transform to obtain the projection of circular region. So here we can assume that the circle is centered on the origin of xy plane because the object is circularly symmetric. So its projections are the same for the angles. So we just check the projection for theta is equal to 0 degree. So here f of xy is equal to a if x square plus y square is less than is equal to r square, otherwise it will 0. So here g of p theta is equal to limit is minus theta to theta minus theta to theta f of xy into theta del x cos theta plus y sin theta minus b dx dy, which is now f of p y dy. So we can get here this equation, root r square minus p square, limit is minus root r square minus p square up to root r square minus p square into f of py dy. So we can get here 2a root r square minus del square theta square when it is less than equal to r, otherwise it will 0. So here g of p theta is equal to 0. So g is independent here of theta because the object is symmetric about the origin. So now this figure shows the result which agrees the projections illustrated in this figure. So here we will note that a disk and a plot of its radon transform delivered analytically. So here we are able to plot the transform because it depends only one variable when g depends on both p and theta. So the radon transform becomes an image whose axes are sigma and theta. So an intensity of a pixel is proportional to the value of g at location of that pixel. So here in this figure, this is a sinogram of the rectangle on the left. So the vertical and a horizontal axis correspond to theta and sigma respectively. So thus bottom row is a projection of the rectangle in horizontal direction, right? This figure shows an image of Shep-Logan phantom, a widely used synthetic image designed to simulate the absorption of a major areas, which including small tumors. So a sinogram of this image is considerably more difficult to interpret, as this figure shown. So for the image due to back projecting, the projection obtained with the fixed angle theta k, right? So this equation holds an arbitrary value of theta k. So we may write in general that the image formed from single back projection obtained at angle theta is given by f theta of xy is equal to g of x cos theta plus y sin theta. So here we form the final image of integrating over all the back projected images, which is f of xy is 0 to pi f theta of xy d theta. So in discrete case, the integral becomes the sum of all the back projected images. F of xy is equal to sigma theta is equal to 0 to pi f of theta of xy. So here a back projected image formed is referred to as a ionogram. So here figure A and B, which show the back projected images corresponding to the sinogram. So here we note the significant amount of blurring, right? So in early experimental CT system were based on these equations, just we have seen here, right? So In this section, it is a significant improvements in reconstruction are possible by reformulating a back projection approach. Thank you.